The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, received his Colombian counterpart, Gustavo Petro, at the Miraflores Palace in the city of Caracas with the aim of strengthening their bilateral relations. In Haiti, leaders announced an agreement to form a transitional government aimed at renewed criminal groups' violence. And Palestinian resistance continues to study the proposals reached in Cairo, but warned that Israel's position does not contribute to a fair solution. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, received his Colombian counterpart, Gustavo Petro, at the Miraflores Palace in the city of Caracas with the aim of strengthening their bilateral relations. This meeting takes place after the foreign ministers of both countries were in the border city of Cúcuta in the department of Norte de Santander on Monday in the framework of the follow-up mechanism of the Neighborhood and Integration Commission installed between the two nations in June 2023. In this context, this is the fifth meeting between the presidents since Gustavo Petro assumed power in August 2022. Previously, the Venezuelan president assured that the Bolivarian Republic is committed to strengthen the relations of friendship and peace of both peoples, stating that Venezuela and Colombia have great joint objectives and no one will separate them. On Tuesday, Venezuela learned about the death of Hugo de los Reyes, father of Commander Hugo Chávez, who passed at 91 years of age. President Nicolás Maduro paid his respects to the family in this day. Let's listen.
Well, compatriots, I want to express my condolences to the family of our Supreme Commander, Hugo Rafael Chávez Fría, to Doña Elena, to his children. I have already spoken to Adán and conveyed my words of solidarity to his grandchildren, to his granddaughter, to all the countrymen of Marinas, and to all our people, because today the landscape has changed. Master Hugo de los Reyes Chávez has departed. El Roble del Llano, 91 years old, and until the last second, he was firm, lucid, loyal, in combat, thinking of his people, his countrymen, his countrywomen, his people. I gave him a hug a few days ago. We talked for a while. We were at the Poliedro. It was very exciting to see him in that act of the Poliedro. Very exciting for me and for Celia, because we loved him very much since we met him in 1992. And he headed, with Doña Elena, the Bolivarian Solidarity Committees. Always loyal to Commander Hugo Chávez, to Bolivarianism. I counted on his friendship and his absolute and total loyalty, with his advice, with his affection, with his good humor. And at 91 years old, we can say, Master Hugo de los Reyes flies high. May God keep you in his heights and in his protection forever. Mission accomplished, Master. We will continue for you in your battle, and you give me a greeting to Commander Hugo Chávez over there. To all and all, my condolences, and let us raise a prayer to the Creator for the good soul of Master Hugo de los Reyes. May God keep him in his glory. Blessings.
Que Dios lo tenga en su gloria. Bendiciones.
Venezuela struck a major blow against corruption on Tuesday with the arrest of former oil minister Tarek El Aissami and his frontman, Smart Lopez, financier of Venezuelan private bank Banca Amiga. Venezuela's public prosecutor's office presented the second phase of investigations into corruption in oil operations carried out by high-level public officials in the company Petróleos de Venezuela S.A. PDVSA. During his speech, the Attorney General Tarek William Saab detailed that in the investigation of the case known as PDVSA Crypto, the participation of at least 5 people who exercised functions in the oil company was unveiled. According to the information provided, former Minister and President of PDVSA El Aissami is suspected of having direct links to agents in Washington and Miami. According to Saab's statements, the PDVSA crypto corruption mega case had a political objective to demolish Venezuela's economy.
We have managed to unveil the direct participation and therefore the consequent arrest of the following individuals: Tarek El Aissami, former Minister of Oil and former President of PDVSA, arrested to be presented and charged by the Public Prosecutor's Office in the coming hours. San Marcos Jose Lopez, businessman, directly linked to the money laundering, which we will explain later, and Simon Alejandro Serpa, former Minister of Economy and Finance and former President of Fonden, directly linked to both citizens, to both subjects I have mentioned.
In this context, the Attorney General of Venezuela explained that during the investigations into the PDVSA crypto case, it was determined that the defendants used their public positions to carry out illegal operations.
Recordemos que este caso concreto, PDVSA Crypto, tuvo su desarrollo progresivo y secuencial.
Let us remember that this specific case of PDVSA Crypto had a progressive and sequential development barely a year ago, March 2023. At that time, it was possible to detect and dismember high-ranking officials, many of them presidents of supposedly PDVSA subsidiaries, who after being arrested even declared how they used their positions to carry out illegal oil operations. This was done and has a lot to do with the responsibility of this subject, El Aissami, in the assignment of crude oil cargoes to the superintendents of crypto assets and to individuals without any type of control or guarantees, not comply with the contracting regulations of the oil company PDVSA.
The Attorney General of Venezuela explained that during the investigations into the PDVSA crypto case, it was determined that the defendant used their public positions to carry out illegal operations.
Let us remember that this specific case of PDVSA crypto had a progressive and sequential development barely a year ago, March 2023. At that time, it was possible to detect and dismember high-ranking officials, many of them presidents of supposedly PDVSA subsidiaries. Who, after being arrested, declared how they used their positions to carry out illegal oil operations. This was done and has a lot to do with the responsibility of this subject El Aissami in the assignment of crude oil cargoes to the superintendents of crypto assets and to individuals without any type of control or guarantees. Not complying with the contracting regulations of the oil company PDVSA.
Likewise, the Venezuelan prosecutor Tarek William Saab assured that the corruption operations in the Petróleos de Venezuela PDVSA company intended to ruin the country's economy.
How these suspects got together to carry out this activity, which I could qualify as one of the most serious economic conspiracies to implode in an almost total way. I would say, not only the Venezuelan currency, but also to trigger the parallel dollar, as could have happened in the first moment.
The director of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, Jagan Chapagain, arrived in Cuba on Monday. His visit to the island seeks to strengthen mutual cooperation. The senior official had several meetings in Havana, the Cuban capital. One of them was held at the headquarters of the National Assembly of the People's Power. There, the diplomatic spoke with the vice president of that legislative body, Ana Maria Mari Machado. The director of the Humanitarian Federation took the opportunity to highlight the values of Cuban solidarity with all the peoples of the world, regardless of the conditions imposed by the blockade, especially in the sector of public health. During the visit to the legislative headquarters, Chapagain assured that it is important to improve the solidarity strategy.
One of the first points is to make aid much faster, and to be able to position aid in a much closer place so that it can be delivered faster, just before the crisis starts.
In the United States, an appeals court judge on Monday rejected former President Donald Trump's attempt to pause a final criminal trial in Manhattan and move it elsewhere. The judge, Lisbeth Gonzalez, issued her decision Monday after hearing arguments from Trump's lawyers and the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, which accused Trump of falsifying records to cover up a sex scandal. For weeks, the former commander has been trying to delay the trial, the first for a former U.S. president and possibly the only one of the 4 criminal cases against him that will go to trial this year. Trump's attempt to move the case out of Manhattan was not the only delay strategy he used Monday. In another proceeding, he indicated that he planned to file an unusual type of lawsuit against the judge leading the case, Juan Merchan. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. The National Superintendence of Customs and Tax Administration denies the President of Peru, Dina Boluarte, in the midst of the investigation for alleged illicit enrichment in the Rolex case. A week before the President, Dina Boluarte denied owning Rolex watches and luxury jewelry. The Senate sent 2 documents to the National Prosecutor, Juan Carlos Villena, stating that in the last 3 years, the President did not import any merchandise into national territory. He emphasized that between July 1st, 2021 and March 17th, 2024, there are no customs declarations of merchandise in the name of the person consulted, highlighting that if the head of state entered with a product purchased abroad, she did not make it visible.
I think it's really serious, Kaina. And I want to clearly disassociate myself from all the people who say that the Rolex is a smokescreen, or that it is not important, or that we should not talk about the Rolex. The Rolex is very important because a Rolex is the equivalent of $20,000, and giving a Rolex to a public official is the equivalent of giving a briefcase of bills to that public official because of the value of that Rolex in the market.
In Haiti, amid renewed criminal groups' violence after a 72-hour pause, Haitian leaders announced an agreement to form a transitional government. The 9 members have until February 7, 2026 to accomplish a series of tasks. The first will be to replace the current Prime Minister Ariel Henry to appoint with the successor a governing council that will lead the country to democratic, free and credible elections. None of the members of this newly formed council will be able to run in these elections. elections, which will be the first in the Caribbean country since 2016. On Sunday, the Caribbean community, the CARICOM, gave its approval to the political agreement and its decree. The Palestinian resistance assured on Tuesday that they continue to study the proposals reached in Egypt, but warned that Israel's position does not contribute to a fair solution. Hamas has thanked the parties for facilitating the dialogues. However, it assures that Israel's stubborn stance hinders significant progress. They are currently analyzing the latest document produced in Cairo. The organization has requested, as part of these negotiations, a permanent ceasefire in Gaza, that Palestinians be allowed to return to their homes in the north of the Strip, and that Zionist troops withdraw completely, in addition to the exchange of detainees and abductees and delivery of sufficient food aid. In Palestine, the Civil Defense Service recovered 409 corpses inside the Al-Shifa hospital after Israel withdrew from the medical complex and its surroundings. On a communique, the Gazan Civil Defense informed that they continue with the debris removal works alongside the governmental entities and international institutions. At once, they urged the international community and the senior authorities to support with the supply of equipment and machinery for digging works in order to speed up the extraction of the corpses under the infrastructures smashed up after the bombings. Meanwhile, Palestinian citizens denounced the kidnapping of children by the Israeli troops after their withdrawal, in addition to the death toll triggered by the military operation. The government of Turkey imposed restrictions on exports to Israel until a ceasefire is consolidated in the Gaza Strip. According to government authorities, the decision covers groups of products such as steel, fertilizers, jet fuel, among others. The measure came into force on Tuesday and will remain in force until Israel declares an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and allows sufficient and uninterrupted humanitarian aid to the Strip. This is the first significant measure by Ankara against Israel after 7 months of its genocidal operation against the Palestinian civilian population, a decision that, according to the Israeli regime, will not go unchallenged. We have a final short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for an English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. On Tuesday, Ukraine attacked the reactor at the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, once again violating the principles of nuclear safety. Zaporozhye is the largest nuclear power plant in Europe, and since the beginning of this special operation, which in recent weeks has turned into a war, it has been the center of several Ukrainian strikes. The power plant administration reported that the Ukrainian drone hit the roof of the building with a unique training center of the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. The attack left no injuries but constitute a further violation of the principles of nuclear safety and the principles of the plant's own safety established by the United Nations Security Council. In France, the Interior Minister stated that security will be considerably reinforced at Wednesday's Champions League match in the French capital between Paris Saint-Germain and Barcelona after a threat from the Islamic State group. In response to the threat, authorities in several cities where the first leg matches of the Championship League will be played announced that they will reinforce security at the venues to ensure that both clubs and fans are safe during the games. In this sense, the Interior Minister of France, Gérald Darmanin, stated that as far as the party in the Greater Paris area is concerned, the prefect of police has considerably reinforced security and the DGS why French intelligence agency is working particularly hard without going into details to provide preventive intelligence if necessary. Darmanin also mentioned that so far no details are known or which location might be particularly affected, nor under what conditions.
Who in this room is not worried? Who in these cities, who in these threatened countries, is not worried about this? I hope that this is something that can be contained and that it's just a threat, that nothing disastrous happens. Of course it's worrying.
On Monday, the call to participate in the 45th International Festival of New Latin America Cinema in Havana, Cuba, was opened. The director of that entity, Tania Delgado, confirmed that the date of the Festival of Latin America Cinema will be from December 5th to 15th, 2024. She also informed that the deadline for the admission of films will close on August 15th in the different categories, such as fiction, features films, and debut films, among others. The head of festival, Ruben Ricardo, explained that the next 45th edition of the event will be used to review its history, the protagonists, and the essential moments of the event.
On that path, to review our own history, our moments, our protagonists, the path is focused from now, which opened the call for entries on March 25th until the festival begins on December 5th.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.